you want people to lose all faith that anyone is going to solve anything.
Yeah.
You add a bunch of, if you're going to you had a bunch of other wacky shit that doesn't make any sense, and you spam it out there at the same time. You leave a gun that didn't do it out in the woods. You do a bunch of like that.
Let's rewind to the very beginning. On September 10, 2025, during a stop on his American comeback tour at Utah Valley University in Orem, Charlie Kirk was shot and killed in front of a live audience. Chaos erupted instantly. Within seconds, a middle-aged man in the crowd shocked everyone by claiming he was the shooter, leading to his immediate arrest by the FBI. But that confession quickly unraveled. Investigators later determined the man was lying, and attention shifted to a figure allegedly spotted on a rooftop facing the stage. 2 days later, a man named Tyler Robinson reportedly walked into a police station and confessed. A firearm believed to be used in the attack was recovered near the scene, allegedly without a serial number. And just when the story seemed to settle, it took a sharp turn, because after Robinson's arrest, Charlie Kirk's chief of security gave an interview that only raised more questions, with statements that didn't seem to line up with the facts at all.
This correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back, and his last correspondence was, I got you covered. What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area.
Please pick me. Okay. When you're like in school and you got to hold your hand up because you really want a teacher to see you. I have an answer for what else you could have done. You could have followed up because it's your job and Charlie paid you millions of dollars not to pass the buck. No. Also, you asked the police chief an either or question. And I'm just kind of like trying to understand the basic construct of sentences. He said, got you covered. What does that mean? It was an either or question. Either provide us access or get somebody up there. Got you covered means what? No follow-up? That's it? Millions and millions of dollars on his security annually. And you just said, hey, a student told us that there's a rooftop and it would be good if we could have access to it, or if one of your guys could secure. Got you covered. That's it. That's what Charlie was paying for?
What makes this even more unsettling is that there was already a credible threat against Charlie Kirk's life. In fact, just 24 hours before the shooting, Charlie reportedly texted multiple people in his inner circle, saying he was genuinely afraid for his safety. He knew something was wrong. And this is where the scrutiny intensifies. Brian, who was being paid millions of dollars to protect him, was responsible for preventing exactly this kind of scenario. Yet the actions, or failures, that followed raise serious questions. Were these just catastrophic mistakes under pressure, or was something else going on? Because what Brian said next only deepened the confusion and pushed the story into even darker territory.
Millions of dollars on drones last year, and got the guy's license. But if the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it. That's a 107B. We can't break the rules. Right? And then you had secondary restrictions, probably due to heavy foot traffic for the school, but I can't go in and break the rules. There's laws for a reason. And so now the school could have flown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them, right? But Orem PD has a drone unit active and professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome. They get it. They were there, they helped both on the soft side and the hard side. And so I started asking questions like, do you guys have a drone unit Good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, yeah. I said, did they call you and ask for assistance? No. I'm like, why wouldn't you call? And then, so, that's one. So just, I can't go in and break the law. I can't make my guys break the law. I can't go in and do something that would jeopardize their
Do you have any idea why they would?
Brian then made a claim that immediately raised red flags. He stated that it was illegal to fly a drone anywhere near the campus, using that as justification for why no aerial surveillance was in place. But that explanation has been widely disputed. Brian has run a private security firm for years, and critics argue he would know that licensed private security companies are legally permitted to operate drones under specific regulations. Several independent security experts have since challenged his statement, saying it doesn't align with standard industry practices.
Brian Harpole's not being factually accurate. Again, I don't want to quote him. I implore you guys to go back and check his interview out. But in his interview, he spoke a lot about not being able to legally fly a drone. Now, if any of you are familiar with the policies, procedures of filing one of the FAA 30-day notices or requests, or the Lance approvals, this particular area, I went and fact-checked him. I heard him say that he couldn't legally fly it based on the police's suggestion that they possibly will be covering the event, or that he's got them covered, and he used that as the legal pretext for not being able to fly, I assume. But the key is the key thing he said is he cannot legally fly, and that's just not factually accurate. So I went ahead and fact-checked him. I actually acquired a Lance approval for this specific site in a 3/4 mile radius around the campus. As far as the state law, as Utah is concerned, the state of Utah, they basically echo federal law. And so federal law dictates that, yes, you can get a permit under 107 rules, which, if this guy was operating a security contract company, he would have to have a 107 license. He'd have to be operating under the 107 license banner, which means that he would be able to, in this specific circumstance, get a Lance approval instantly. I acquired a Lance approval for the site within 20 seconds.
Brian then attempted to shift responsibility, claiming that trusting the chief was his single biggest mistake. But that explanation quickly falls apart under scrutiny. Reports indicate there were dozens of other warning signs and security threats that had nothing to do with the chief, and those were ignored as well. As more details surface, a troubling pattern begins to emerge. This wasn't one bad call or one unfortunate oversight. The deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes that multiple failures stacked on top of each other.
Looking back, Brian, what do you think that you guys could have or should have possibly done differently?
And people have asked that, and we've asked each other that.
Sure.
And so we look at our operations plan, our workup, and we're like, what could we have done? What could we incorporate? And I'm like, man, if it were up to us, yeah, I'd have rolled in an APC. We had had, no budget, and there's a difference there. We have to work within realities. Right. And so, I hate to lower myself to this guy, yeah, but I wish I wouldn't have trusted that chief. I wish, but this is a command level accredited police department, chief of police days before. And when we're talking about a specific area, and then when it comes across, and there's like, this is what we're concerned with, and then when it comes back with, I got you covered, you tell me, and I'll take it. Is there another way for me to construe that that's taken care of?
Another issue that simply can't be brushed aside is the near-total absence of security. It wasn't just a rooftop left unmonitored, the entire perimeter appeared exposed. There were reportedly no guards stationed at key access points, no systematic ticket checks, and no meaningful crowd control. An event planned for roughly 600 attendees allegedly ballooned to more than 3,000 people, unchecked. At any point, Charlie Kirk's security team could have intervened, slowed entry, or shut things down altogether. But according to multiple accounts, they didn't.
EDs do not have drone programs, which is a big problem.
That's false.
Working on that because it's something they should all have. It should be mandated by some sort of law. And so anyways, it's in quick defense of the security, they're only allowed to protect his immediate vicinity.
And that, of course, is false. So it was made very clear that there were drones that could have been used, and there could have been people on the roof. They said there were supposed to be people on the roof, but where they failed is they did not verify with the police department that that was actually taken care of. And then the next thing I want to talk about, this is extremely important, is that initially there are supposed to be about 600 people coming to this event. Now, there's several layers of issues here. First of all, they didn't check tickets. It was a wide open event, meaning anyone could come and they could just walk right in. So there's no security there. There's no accountability for anyone who's coming in if they actually bought tickets or signed up for this event. And then for a security, they said that it went from 600 people to over 3,000 that showed up. Now, at these events, a lot of times it's Kirk's enemies, right? It's the left. It's the people that are anti Charlie Kirk. They call him a fascist. He gets death threats. So they left it wide open, and his security team allowed this to happen. They put him in a situation where they could have said, we're not going to cover you. We're not going to do this event. It's not safe. We can't verify if the roof is going to be covered or not. And even when it was at 600 people that were supposed to be there and 3,000 showed up, they could see the crowd growing. In fact, they mentioned it in some of the interviews and things that I've seen, that they could tell that there was getting to be a lot of people. At that point, they could make the decision to pull Charlie for his safety.
In the end, what may be most haunting is this: Charlie Kirk appeared to sense that something was wrong long before it happened. Those close to him say he felt exposed, uneasy, and increasingly distrustful of the very systems meant to protect him.
Rather explosively. 3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me, okay? He did not express that to me, so I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people, and I am saying this because I hope that these people, who I think are good, will be inspired to come forward with that. Again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be, maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill?
The more critics examine the statements made by Turning Point USA, the more inconsistencies they say begin to surface. And that's before even addressing the footage that allegedly showed Tyler Robinson confessing, footage that has since vanished. According to reports, the police station where Robinson reportedly walked in no longer has the video, claiming it was deleted. For many observers, that alone is deeply unsettling. As commentators have pointed out, erasing footage tied to such a critical moment raises serious questions. These doubts gained even more traction after Joe Rogan discussed the case on the Joe Rogan Experience, methodically challenging the official narrative.
According to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on with this.
I know.
First of all, there was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombings.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets, he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child. Why is that? Well, now you can't interview him.
Right, he's got, right.
Right, and because when the internet people start going, how do you How are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT and Perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be involved? Like, 0.
This is the guy.
Yeah.
I just like that the pants down part is just insane to me. It's like, why is your out, dude?
I did it. Listen, I'm not saying this guy isn't insane. He's clearly insane. Or not. Or he's professionally insane.
Right.
That's where it gets squirrely.
I almost texted you when the Charlie Kirk thing happened because my antennas went up about, they showed the photo of that kid, or the guy that they have, the 22-year-old, whatever. And I was almost going to be like, dude, you think he's got the capability to do?
Then there's the weapon itself, and this is where the story strains credibility even further. Authorities described the rifle as having a modern appearance, yet simultaneously claimed it originated from World War I. Even more convenient, they said it had no serial number. Critics have questioned how a firearm from that era could so neatly fit that description. And then comes perhaps the most implausible detail of all. Officials allege that Tyler disassembled the rifle and reassembled it on a rooftop, under extreme pressure, without drawing attention or leaving clear evidence behind.
Now here's where it gets weird. The first images of this rifle with a scope, I swear to God, it looks like he has a composite stock on it. Like, it looks like a modern 30-06 rifle. So a 30-06, so that's the rifle. 30-06 is like, that looks like a very modern looking stock. I mean, it might not be. It might be just a bad resolution. It might be wood. It's hard to tell. But if you showed me that and you said, hey, this is my cousin's rifle, is this any good? I'd be like, looks like a standard bolt action rifle with like a sophisticated modern scope on it. Sure. Now, apparently, the narrative is that this is his grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Why? Wait. Why are you using such an old gun? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is it possible that an old gun can be that accurate?